German Chancellor Angela Merkel and Russian President Vladimir Putin met today in Sochi to tackle some of the major differences between them. The war in Ukraine, the eastward creep of NATO, and the shadowy information war that Russia is waging to influence both. Earlier this year, a fake news story in Lithuania charged that German soldiers had raped a teenager there. NATO accused the Kremlin of fabricating the story, just as it had with a similar story about a Berlin rape victim known as Lisa. Today, Merkel said she wouldn't be deterred.
Wenn es grobe Fehlinformationen gibt, wie wir das im Zusammenhang mit Lisa zum Beispiel diesen Fall hatten oder jetzt auch in Litauen mit unseren Soldaten, dann werden wir dagegen natürlich entschieden vorgehen.
Fake news is an increasingly important weapon in Russia's arsenal. In Ukraine, it floods the airwaves with false stories about the Western-backed government. And in Kiev, a group of journalists is trying to fight back.
Welcome to StopFake, the place where we debunk fakes about Ukraine. I'm Marco Supran with StopFake's latest dissection of the Russian alternate reality.
StopFake's aim is to expose false information presented as fact in anti-Ukrainian Russian media.
Supporting the old adage that if you repeat a lie often enough, people start believing it.
The show is uploaded online in both English and Russian. They also have a website, and they publish 100,000 copies of their newspaper each month, which is then delivered to Ukrainian-held territory in the east of the country. What was in your rundown today?
In the rundown, we had a story about Ukrainians asking for energy from Crimea, about a Nazi footballer, Roman Zuzulya, who is not a Nazi, but he is a footballer, and a story about a tuberculosis epidemic in Ukraine, that there will be no more healthy people in Ukraine in 3 years.
Most of those tackling the issue in Ukraine are volunteers, including Yevhen, who founded StopFake. He's a lecturer at the journalism school in Kiev, where the group is based.
Our aim is not only to debunk it for the sake of debunking, but also to educate the audience.
So what you've got here is 29 people who are battling part of Russia's hybrid warfare, its information wars.
This is the front line of the hybrid war. I'm serious. In all seriousness, this is the front line of the hybrid war.
One of the topics they've been discussing is proposals to allow Ukrainian citizens visa-free travel in the EU. They believe that Russia is manipulating facts in an attempt to stop that from happening.
To influence policymakers here or in Europe, you're going to be flooded with a bunch of prostitutes from Ukraine. Why is that significant, right? Whores are whores, who gives a shit? The point is, there's a high level of AIDS in Ukraine. It's an epidemic. This is going to cast fear into whose heads, because this is actual factual now information, and a policymaker who's going to say, well, you know what? I don't think Ukrainians should have visa-free regime. There's health issues. And that is a victory of fake news.
One of the most notorious fake news stories during the conflict was a report broadcast on Russia's Channel 1. In it, a woman describes to a journalist the brutality of Ukrainian forces.
Взяли ребенка 3 лет, мальчика маленького, в трусиках, футболке, как Иисуса, на доску объявлений прибыли. И мама смотрела вот это все, как ребенок истекает кровью, крики, вызовы.
StopFake spoke to journalists and photographers working in the city at the time, who say that locals denied the crucifixion ever happened. No photos or videos ever surfaced of the alleged event. Channel 1 hasn't responded to our request for comment on the story. But it's not just journalists who have taken note of fake news. The government told Vice News that information warfare will increasingly play a larger role in conflict. How much of a problem is fake news perpetuated by Russia in Ukraine?
Absolutely huge. If anybody in Russia is told that in Ukraine there are fascists that crucified boys, that rape women and doing some bad stuff, it's obviously that some people will get the guns, will go to this land without knowing that this information was fake, to fight with these imaginary fascists.
Would you ever consider fighting Russia's fake news, as you call it, with your own fake news?
Of course not. You're just spending your resources. In the end of the day, you're not getting result back. So even if we
But Russia are getting results back, aren't they?
Yes, but you see their image in the world. So everybody believes that Russia is the evil state.
Do you believe that they're the evil state?
Yes, I do.
The conflict began here, in Maidan Square. Protesters camped out for months to demonstrate against Russian influence in Ukrainian politics. More than 100 of them were killed. Since then, according to Yevhen, the deluge of half-truths, rumours and fake news has led to a mistrust of journalists, something StopFake is trying to reverse.
I do believe that at some point our articles could be used as a legal evidence of how Russia was misusing media and how media was turned into the arms of military.
That's it for this week. If you spot any disinformation about Ukraine, send it to us for a truth autopsy.